Hello everyone, and welcome back to the High Council. Today we are on day 6 of our 7 days of Shatterpoint, and we are going to be doing a bit of a deep dive into General Obi-Wan Kenobi, CC 2224, or Clone Commander Cody, and then the 212th Clone Troopers, and then also looking at a little bit of the synergy that we can see between these units and some of the units that we've already taken a look at. So if you are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to try and bring as much Shatterpoint content as I can do over the coming months, including battle reports. I think we've got a first battle report planned for the end of June, just so we've got a bit of a chance to learn some of the rules in full and make sure that we don't make any silly mistakes, things like that. But without further ado, let's take a look at General Obi-Wan Kenobi. Okay, so looking at General Obi-Wan Kenobi, first thing is let's have a look at the miniature. So I've started to base mine already, which is what is on the bottom. Hopefully that's going to stay focused in there. And obviously he's been primed. He's been primed in Colour Forge's matte white. But I really like the detail on it. Loads of detail on the face. We've got obviously the pauldron on his shoulder is got the detail on as well. But yeah, just a really nice looking miniature. And then my bases, I'm going to try and do them to be like they're on some sort of alien planet. Something like that. Umbara was the really big theme. I was looking at Umbara and Felucia from the Clone Wars. So let's have a look. So we've got General Obi-Wan Kenobi. He is going to provide 8 squad points, 3 Force icons, and then obviously is Obi-Wan Kenobi, a primary unit. On his other side, he is part of the 212th, Force User, Galactic Republic, and Jedi as his tags. And then he's got a durability of 3 and a stamina of 10. So he's going to be able to take quite a bit of damage. I was talking to some of my friends earlier this week. We've never played a game where we've got to a full turn 3 of having to reshuffle and redraw cards. So probably going to be someone that's on the front line looking at trying to get closer and closer towards the enemies. And if we have a look at his abilities, he's got 1 active ability, 1 reactive ability, 1 innate ability, and 1 identity-specific ability. And then this is probably one of my favourite abilities I've seen so far. So, active ability, hello there, costs 1 force. 1 character in this unit may jump. If it does, that character adds 3 dice to its next attack roll during this activation. So thematic. It is exactly what happens with General Grievous in episode 3, and it's just amazing. One of my friends did it to me on Tuesday when we played this week, and it was just the coolest thing that happened. Jumps down, adds a load more dice, and then reactive ability, so uncivilized, costs 1 force. When a character in this unit is targeted by a ranged attack, this unit may use this ability. This unit gains a hunker token. And after the attack is resolved, if the attack roll contained 1 or more failures, the attacking unit suffers 3 damage. So it is a more costly, but probably better version of Deflect that we've got on Ahsoka and Anakin Skywalker, in the sense that it costs you 1 force, but he's going to gain a hunker token, and then so he's getting the extra defense dice with the cover, and then if he gets any failures, the attacking unit just suffers 3 damage. Obviously, the Deflect is, if it suffers failures, it takes 2 damage, so definitely a much better version of it. And then Patience. When you reveal this unit's order card, if you have an order card in reserve, you may put that card on the top or bottom of your order deck. If you do, put this unit's order card in reserve. When this unit's order card is put into reserve, 1 character in this unit may heal 3 and jump. So he's getting a free turn with Patience just by putting that in reserve. So just happen to have Cody's card here. So you've got Cody in reserve. This is your order deck. You pulled Obi-Wan Kenobi. You decide, no, I'm going to spend the force to put him in reserve. And then I want Cody to go next. So he's going to go on the top of my deck. Obi-Wan Kenobi there. And then boom, I'm going to pull Cody. And Obi-Wan gets a free jump and then 3 heals. So absolutely that is a really great thing, in my opinion. And especially if you pulled him either too soon or you want to use that character in reserve instead, if you think actually that might be a really better option. And then his identity ability, knowledge and defense. So allied units do not lose their hunker tokens when they become engaged, and can have hunker tokens whilst they are engaged. While an allied Galactic Republic unit has one or more hunker, it adds 1 die to its defense rolls against melee attacks. After an attack targeting a character in an allied Galactic Republic unit is resolved, that character's unit may remove all its hunker tokens. If it does, one character in that unit may heal 1 for each hunker token removed. Then each character that healed may dash. So that is very, very cool. So obviously you would normally lose your hunker tokens if you were engaged in melee. I've got the other guys here. So let's pretend that Cody and the 212th there are in combat with one another. He's got a hunker token. Cody keeps the hunker token even though he's engaged, and therefore is going to add 1 die to its defense rolls rolling against melee attacks. And then after that is resolved, Cody could remove the hunker tokens. If it does, he can then heal once for each hunker token removed. So he could potentially remove some conditions that he's been given, or even some damage that he's taken. And then he can go, actually, I'm okay being not in combat with you. I'm going to dash. And then up over there, safely out of range too, which is just a very nice, lots of mobility. And I think the biggest thing for me is, obviously, this is all Galactic Republic units. So it's not just the people in Obi-Wan's Strike Force, but if you had Anakin Rex and the 501st, for example, they would also really benefit from it. I think there's going to be a video that I'm going to do just all about synergy between the two factions that are currently available, because there just is an absolute load of synergy that's available in between characters, and definitely stuff that you're going to do and think, I could have done this, which is exactly what happened to me. I was playing Dooku on Tuesday, and I completely forgot about his tactics ability until I read it and was like, oh yeah, I could have done that. Sorry, not his tactics ability, his identity ability. So that is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let's have a little look at his stance card. So there's 2 stances. So Form 4 Arturo and Form 3 Suriso. We're going to start on this side because this side for me doesn't look as deadly, purely based on the number of dice that I'm going to be rolling. But there's a lot of icons here, whereas his other side is not as many icons, but we're rolling more dice. So let's have a little look. In Form 3 Suriso, Obi-Wan is rolling 5 dice when engaged in melee, 6 dice for defense, and then just 5 dice for defense against a ranged attack. This is where I think things really start to kick in for him. So his lightsaber, 1 to 2 expertise is going to convert to a crit, 3 expertise is converting to 2 crits, and 4 expertise is converting to 3 crits. So chances are we might be getting some of these because we obviously can't do anything about crits. And then his clone armor, 1 to 2 defensive expertise is going to give him 2 blocks. 3+ is going to give him 2 blocks and a jump as well. That is his expertise. And then if we have a look at his combat tree, so we're always starting with 2 damage and 1 heal. And then we make decision number 1 to either go and do 2 damage and a strained, or 2 damage and a pinned. So depending on how far I guess we want to go down the tree, or depending on if we want to give someone that condition, which is, in my opinion, a auto first action removal, because you'll take 3 damage otherwise. Or if you just want to get someone staying in place, you can't move, whatever you want to do. So if we go up to the top, we're then going to do 2 heals after that, followed by 2 damage and a jump ability. Or if we come along the middle here, we've got the 2 damage and a pinned that we then either go across to 3 heals, followed by 2 damage and a shove, or we come down to 2 damage and a disarmed, and 1 damage and a reposition. So, although we're only going 4 steps down the combat tree, just remember that expertise is going to convert into crits that are currently unblockable, other than someone's defensive tech that will say convert a crit down to something else. But if we just see what he would get. So we've got 2 hits and 2 expertise. So 2 failures. So that would become 1 crit and 1 hit. So not as great. Sorry, 1 crit and 2 crits, I believe. Obviously, if your opponent has got some stuff that's going to block these two, potentially block them all, not as great. But we are doing that 1 crit, which is going to go and do 2 damage and 1 heal. Let's just see if he gets a better roll. So there he gets all 5. All 5 hits, but depending on how many blocks the opponent are going to get, will really depend on what happens to them. So that's his form 3 Suruso. And then his form 4 Ataru, we're getting 7 dice from a melee engaged attack, 6 dice defensively, 6 dice defensively against a ranged attack. His expertise, so this is probably a little bit more defensive because his expertise isn't as great. So 1 is going to convert to a hit, 2 to 3 a crit and a hit, 4 plus 2 crits and 2 hits. And then defensively, 1 to 2 defensive expertise is going to provide you with 1 block. And this is where it gets really cool. Turn 1 crit to a fail. And then 3 plus, turning 2 blocks and then 1 crit into a fail. So yeah, although crits aren't unblockable, they're definitely not defendable, because we've got abilities like this that will stop you from being able to get those crits off against or your opponent being able to get the crits off against you. And then his combat tree is significantly longer on this side. So we start off with 2 damage and a shove, and then we either go up to the top to do 1 damage, or we come down to the bottom to do 1 damage and a disarmed, followed by 2 damage and an exposed, or 1 damage and a shove. And then we're going to be going to 2 damage along the bottom, 2 damage and a jump, 2 damage and a pinned, 2 damage and a shove. Sorry, 1 damage and a pinned, 2 damage to a shove. So this one might entirely depend on how many successes you get, depending on which way you want to go, because you could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you could get 6 different stages complete. Or you could go up the top way and kind of skip a couple and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or come along 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that might all depend on just what you want to do. This way along the bottom is probably a bit more consistent damage dealing, because we need 4 successes if we come 2 damage, 3 damage, 4 damage, 5 damage, 6 damage, 7 damage from 4 successes if we were to go that way. And then you could go along the top and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're not getting as much damage out. Maximum amount of damage he could put out in 1 turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 on his form 4 side. And on this side, I believe it's a similar amount. It's not at all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 on his form 3 side. So 7 from 4 successes, or 9 from 6 successes, depending on which way you want to go there. So that is a look at General Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let's have a look at his trusty clone commander, Cody. Okay, so Clone Commander Cody is a 4 points cost model, 0 force, CC 2224, Clone Commander Cody, CC 2224, secondary unit. And he has got the tags 212th, Clone Commando, Clone Trooper, and Galactic Republic, with a stamina of 9 and a durability of 2. And then his order card is there to remind us that he's got a tactic ability. So he's got 1 tactic ability, 1 active ability, and then 2 innate abilities. So his tactic ability, we've got a big problem. At the start of this unit's activation, choose an enemy character within range 5 that is contesting an active objective. The chosen character gains the exposed condition. Very nice. If you think about someone like Obi-Wan, not being able to use their defensive expertise, not being able to convert those crits down to hits, is something that you're probably going to be looking at trying to do. And you're probably realistically going to be within range 5 of an objective that is active, just because of how the flow of the game works. And then we've got 1 active ability, defensive maneuver, costing 1 force. Each character in this unit may dash. If any characters dash, this unit gains a hunker token. And then we've got his 2 innate abilities. So, say goodnight, clankers. Characters in this unit have sharpshooter 2. When the character makes a ranged attack, the target does not benefit from cover. So just a reminder that after we make a focus action, Sharpshooter 2 would then give us an extra 2 dice for that next ranged attack. And we'll see how many dice he's therefore going to be rolling when we look at his stance card. And then the character doesn't benefit from cover either. So you are probably going to be pinging some serious damage there. And then his last one, Bring It Down. When an allied clone trooper supporting character within range 4 that has one or more hunker tokens makes a ranged attack as part of a combat action, it may reroll up to 2 of its failures results. And then obviously we've got the 212th are going to be a supporting unit, but we've also got the 501st are our clone trooper supporting unit, so they can do some. It's not just the 212th that you can have a little look at there. And then let's have a look at his stance card. Okay, so his stance card, Concentrated Firepower, is going to be a 6 dice melee attack with 4 defensively, or a 6 dice ranged attack at range 5 with 4 defensively against that as well. His expertise for his DC 15 blaster rifle, 1 expertise becomes 1 damage, 2 to 3 become a damage and a crit, and 4+ become a crit and 2 damage off the bat. In engagement, his DC 17 blaster pistols, 1 expertise is going to become 1 hit, 2 is going to become a crit, and 3+ is going to become a crit and a hit. And then defensively, his phase 2 clone armor, 1 to 2 defensive expertise converts to 1 block, and then 3+ converts to 2 blocks. And then he's got a long combat tree, not many icons on it, but in total it is 6 long on its longest path. So he's starting off with 2 damage, followed up by 1 damage and a pinned, and then we make decision. So we either go along the top, damage and a shove, 2 damage and a shove, use an active ability, or we stay along the bottom, damage and strained, 2 damage, and then a single damage as well. And if we remember his ability of Say Goodnight Clankers, he's going to take a focus action as number 1. Sharpshooter 2 then gives him an additional 2. And then he's got a 6 dice ranged attack. And all of a sudden he's rolling 9 dice. 9 dice doing the ability to get absolutely loads of stuff off. So we have got 2 failures. But the 2 expertise, as we see here, becomes a crit. Where's the crit symbol one? There it is. Not that one, that one. A crit and an insta damage. And normally, we go with the 3 get blocked. So we've got 3 plus an instant damage. So we're going with 1, 2, 3 and a pinned, and then probably another damage and a shove. So we're going to do 4 damage from the combat tree, 5 from his expertise. So 5 damage, pinned, and a shove for a secondary character is pretty dang nice. And that is Clone Commander Cody, CC 2224. So we will finally take a look at his clones that report under him in the 212th. Okay, looking at the 212th Clone Troopers, they are a 4 points cost, 0 force, 212th Clone Trooper supporting unit that provides 2. Let's have a little look at the models. So I really like how they've managed to distinguish these from the 501st clones. Obviously with the DC 15s. And loads of detail there around that helmet and the face. And then we get my least favourite clone, or my least favourite character so far. Purely because he's stood up on 1 leg. And he has broken off 3 times. 3 times from the base, so he's now been permanently super glued down there. And we'll have to do some fun stuff around his foot. You can see I broke him whilst I was basing him. So he's got a bit of a muddy knee. So we're going to reprime him a bit later on today. And then we take a look at the 212th Clone Troopers. So they have got 212th Clone Trooper, Galactic Republic, and Trooper as their tags, with a durability of 2, a stamina of 7, an active ability, a reactive ability, and an innate ability. So one active ability that costs 1 force defensive maneuver. Each character in the unit may dash. If any characters dash, this unit gains a hunker token. Got coordinated fire as their reactive ability. When a character in another allied Galactic Republic unit makes an attack as part of a combat action, before dice are rolled, this unit may use this ability. If the targeted character is within range 5 of a character in this unit, the target unit gains the pinned condition. My understanding of this is purely there as a reminder that would cost 1 force if they were wounded, is my understanding. I'm happy to be wrong. Please give me a heads up if I am wrong in the comments. I can't see anything that distinguishes that, but that is kind of something I've read online. And then an innate ability, Brothers in Arms. While this unit has 1 or more hunker tokens, characters in this unit have Steadfast. So they are not going to be pushed by that first shove that happens to them. But if we take a really quick look at... So just comparing the two clones, which I'll do really quickly. They've got the exact same tags minus the battalion that they're in. They've got the exact same wounds and health. Defensive maneuver is exactly the same. Brothers in Arms is exactly the same. Coordinated fire is slightly different. So these guys are going to give you Steadfast. These guys are going to give you the pinned ability. So that just might depend on which ones you want to do. But obviously, that's a Galactic Republic unit. They're Galactic Republic. So the coordinated fire works quite well in conjunction with both of them, which is very nice. And then if we take a look at their combat tree, they are doing a 4 dice melee attack with 3 defensively, or a 6 dice ranged 5 attack with 4 defensively. Their expertise, so the DC 15 blaster rifle, is exactly the same as Cody, I believe. It is indeed. It's exactly the same as Cody. So 1 expertise converts to 1 hit, 2 to 3 converts to a crit and a hit, and then 4+ converts to a crit and 2 damage. Sorry, I might have said hit for that second one, but it is damage. In melee, they're not as great, so that 1 hit, 1 expertise becomes 1 hit, and then they've got the phase 2 clone armor, so 1 to 2 blocks, defensive expertise becomes 1 block, and 3+ becomes 2 blocks. Only 4 steps down the combat tree for them to go. So it's 1 damage and a pinned, 1 damage and a shove, exposed, and then 4 damage in total. So you're potentially not getting to the 4th one the entire time, but when you do, that 6 damage that a supporting unit is putting out, something that is quite nice and very nasty. That was a bit of a look and a bit more of a deep dive into General Obi-Wan Kenobi, Clone Commander Cody, and the 212th Clone Troopers. If you're still here, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. As I said at the start, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, bring as much Shatterpoint content as I can do over the next couple of weeks and months, and then we'll see you in the next video.